December 19th, 1944. The Ardennes forest, near Bastogne, Belgium. The air is so cold it crackles. It is a physical weight, a presence that presses sharp, crystalline needles into any exposed skin. The temperature hovers near 0 Fahrenheit, and the world is rendered in two colors: the stark, spectral white of the snow and the deep, light-devouring black of the pine trunks. Silence reigns. But it is a heavy, hostile silence, broken only by the snap of a frozen branch or the distant, muffled crump of German artillery, a sound absorbed by the dense, snow-laden boughs. This is the normal world for the men of the 101st Airborne Division. They are surrounded, holding a perimeter against the massive German offensive that history will call the Battle of the Bulge. Their world has shrunk to the size of a foxhole, a patch of frozen earth scraped from the forest floor. In one such hole, Corporal Elias Thorne, attached to the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, is motionless. He is a ghost among ghosts. At 23, he is an old man. His breath plumes in front of his face, and he times its release with the faint stirrings of the wind, a habit ingrained from a lifetime of stalking elk in the high forests of Oregon. He is a sniper. His job is not to fight, but to watch. His job is to be the invisible, judgmental eye of the defense. His companion is a Springfield M1903A4 rifle, its wooden stock dark with oil, its metal components aching with the same biting cold that saturates his bones. He lies wrapped in a wool blanket over his winter gear, the snow swept around his position to blend his shape into the drift. His focus, however, is on the M73B1 telescopic sight. He wipes the objective lens, not with his glove, but with a dedicated piece of chamois, shielding the action with his body. The light is failing, a dull, metallic grey filtering through the dense overcast. This is sniper's light, poor visibility, low contrast. It favors the defender, the man who waits. Thorne scans the opposing tree line, 500 yards distant. He is looking for a shadow that moves, a patch of white that is too white, the glint of a helmet or a binocular. He feels the grit of the frozen earth through his trousers, the persistent, dull ache in his fingertips. He's patient. He's a trapper by trade, and this is just another deadlier trapline. His gaze stops on his own scope. Even in this flat, dead light, the coated glass picks up the ambient sky and reflects it. He frowns. It is a small detail, a thing that feels wrong. He quickly drapes a small piece of burlap over the end of the barrel. It isn't right. It's clumsy. But the reflection is gone. The forest is quiet again, waiting. The cold deepens. Thorne's internal clock ticks by. He is less a man than a sensory instrument. He registers the shift in wind, the growing weight of the snow in the air. His spotter, PFC Miller, shivers beside him, blowing into cupped hands. "See anything, Thorne?" The whisper is dry, barely audible. Thorne just shakes his head, a minimal gesture. His focus is absolute. Then he sees it, a flicker of movement. Not a man, a bird displaced from a branch. But the bird only flew because something under it moved. He slowly, painstakingly swivels his rifle. He eases the burlap from the scope. He settles his eye to the rubber cup. The world compresses. The trees leap forward. He finds the branch. He waits. And there, a shape. A German scout in a white snow parka, helmet shrouded in white cloth. The man is good. He moves only when the wind stirs the branches. Thorne centers the crosshairs. He is calm. The world shrinks to the space between the reticle and the target. He begins his breathing pattern. Inhale, exhale halfway, hold. The pressure builds on his trigger finger. The world is about to consist of a single, sharp crack. But the clouds, thin as gauze, choose that exact second to part. A sliver of watery, low-angle winter sun breaks through, sweeping across the forest. It is not bright, but it is direct. It hits Thorne's foxhole. It strikes the objective lens of his M73B1 scope. The glass designed to gather light now throws it. A tiny, brilliant star flashes across the 500 yards of no man's land. On the other end, the German scout, sweeping the ridge with his own binoculars, freezes. His head snaps directly toward Thorne's position. A shot rings out. Not Thorne's. A German K-98K. The crack and the whiz of the bullet are simultaneous. It strikes the frozen dirt parapet of the foxhole, spraying Thorne and Miller with ice and grit. "Sniper!" Miller yells, dropping flat. Thorne is already down, his heart hammering. The German scout has vanished. The opportunity is gone. But something worse has happened. His position is known. They are now the hunted. Thorne lies at the bottom of the hole, the smell of cordite and frozen earth sharp in his nostrils. He is furious, not at the German, but at his rifle, at the light. He knew that glint was a liability. Now it's a death sentence. What he didn't know was that this singular, terrifying moment of exposure would force an idea that would change the nature of his war. The problem of optical glint is as old as the telescopic sight itself. In the brutal mathematics of warfare, a sniper is a force multiplier. But that multiplier is nullified if his greatest asset, his optic, becomes a beacon. By 1944, this is a known and deadly flaw. German snipers, masters of their craft, are equipped with superior Zeiss and Hensoldt optics, often featuring advanced lens coatings. But even these coatings, primarily designed to increase light transmission and reduce internal flare, do little to prevent the primary specular reflection from the convex objective lens. This glint, a flash of unnatural light, is a dead giveaway. Allied counter-sniper teams and artillery spotters are trained specifically to hunt for it. In the static, muddy trenches of the First World War, soldiers devised crude sunshades from ration tins and canvas. But in the fluid, mobile warfare of 1944, and especially in the snow, the problem is magnified. The official U.S. Army solution is the M1C and M1D Garand and the O3A4 Springfield, which are often issued with a simple stamped metal sunshade. This is a tube, perhaps 3 inches long, that screws onto the objective bell. The quartermaster field reports state this is adequate. The men on the line know better. A sunshade is only effective if the sun is high and to the front. In the Ardennes in December, the sun is a low, weak smear in the south. It spends all day at an oblique angle, perfectly positioned to strike under the shade and ignite the lens. Field reports from the 28th Infantry Division, which took the brunt of the initial assault, are filled with frantic requests for better camouflage, and note the high attrition rate of scout sniper teams. One after-action report from the 99th Division reads, "Enemy sniper fire is accurate and devastating. Our teams are frequently engaged before they can fire a shot. We must assume they are spotting our optics. The physics are undeniable. A curved piece of glass, coated or not, will reflect light. In the green jungles of the Pacific, this can be mitigated by deep shade and foliage. In the white, barren forest of Belgium, there is no place to hide. The contrast is absolute. A sniper's hide, no matter how perfect, is betrayed by this single point of light. The standard doctrine is to stay in the shadows. But the winter trees are skeletal. The only shadows are the ones cast by the pines themselves, and the Germans are watching those shadows too. The problem is deemed intractable, a permanent, unavoidable risk of the profession. The Ordnance Department at Aberdeen Proving Ground is focused on ballistics and reliability, not on the ethereal problem of light reflection. For the man in the foxhole, the manual provides no answer. The consequence of this technical failure is measured in blood. For every story of a successful sniper like Carlos Hathcock or Vasily Zaitsev, there are 100 unremembered names of men who died on their first or second engagement. That flash of light is a death warrant. It doesn't just betray the sniper, it betrays the men he is assigned to protect. A machine gun nest he is trying to flank, an officer he is providing overwatch for. His failure compromises them all. The psychological toll is immense. A sniper must believe he is invisible. He must trust his ghillie suit, his fieldcraft, his camouflage. When that trust is broken, his confidence shatters. He becomes hesitant. He second-guesses his position. A hesitant sniper is a dead sniper. In Bastogne, the human cost is catastrophic. The 101st is holding a thin line. Every rifle counts. When a scout team is sent out to probe German positions, they rely on their overwatch sniper to eliminate sentries and machine gunners. But now, the overwatch is himself the target. A rookie sniper with the 501st PIR, barely 19, settles into a perfect hide overlooking a crossroads. He has his scope trained on a German machine gun nest. The sun is at his back, and he thinks he's safe, but the light reflects forward. A German mortar team, observing for just such a flash, walks their 81-liter rounds onto his position. The rookie and his spotter are vaporized. The men they were protecting are pinned down and captured. The report simply lists them as missing in action. Our morale in the sniper platoons is fragile. The cold is a relentless enemy, causing frostbite and exhaustion. Ammunition is low. Food is scarce. And now, their primary tool is failing them. They are ghosts who have become visible. They are hunters who are now the preferred prey. The consensus among the veterans is grim. You cannot hide the sun. You cannot make glass not shine. The problem is a law of physics, and the experts in their warm offices back home have no solution. They are on their own. The experts agree. It can't be done. Elias Thorne is not an engineer. He is not a physicist. He is a forester from the Blue Mountains of Oregon. Born in 1921, he spent his entire life in the Umatilla National Forest, where his father was a logger and trapper. He was drafted in 1942. His natural marksmanship, honed by years of hunting elk and mule deer for the family table, was immediately identified. He fired a perfect score at basic training, hitting targets at 500 yards with iron sights, and was fast-tracked to the sniper school at Camp Ritchie, Maryland. There, they taught him windage, elevation, and how to read mirages. But Thorne already knew the important things. He knew how to wait. He knew how to blend. He knew how to become part of the landscape. His defining trait is a quiet, obsessive power of observation. He is a mimic. As a boy, he learned to mimic the call of a bull elk so perfectly that he could draw them into clearings. He learned to study the texture of bark, the patterns of lichen, The way snow settles on a branch. He doesn't just see the forest, he reads it. His mind works in textures and light. His father's primary lesson was not about aiming, but about not being seen. "The elk isn't looking for you," his father would say, his voice a low rumble. "He's looking for the one thing that doesn't belong. A straight line, a wrong color, a piece of light where there should be shadow." This philosophy now defines his war. While other soldiers see a terrifying alien forest, Thorn sees a system. He sees the black, wet trunks, the crystalline snow, the grey, diffuse sky. And he sees his M73B1 scope, a perfect circle of manufactured glass, as the one thing that doesn't belong. It is an intrusion. It is a piece of light. After the incident with the German scout, he is consumed. He doesn't fear death. He hates failure. He hates that his own tool betrayed him. He retreats into himself, his mind sorting through the textures of his environment. The problem is reflection. How do you stop reflection? You break up the surface. You make it dull. The idea arrives not as a flash of genius, but as a slow, logical connection. He is back in his foxhole. It is snowing lightly. He is running his thumb over the frozen mud caked onto his boot. It is dark, gritty, and flat. It absorbs the light. It has no reflection. He looks at his canteen cup. A thin film of ice has formed over the water, and it is opaque, frosted. The two ideas collide: mud and ice. What if he could create a filter, a hidden lens, and as the title implies, but not a lens of mud, a filter of mud, a thin, translucent screen that would sit in front of his scope, breaking up the light, killing the glint, but still allowing him to see enough. He pulls out his K-bar knife and scrapes a handful of the rich, dark mud from the bottom of his foxhole. It's a heavy, clay-like slurry. He smears it on a piece of glass from a broken Jeep windshield. It's useless, opaque. He wipes it clean. He tries again, this time adding snowmelt from his canteen. He creates a thin, watery paste. He applies it. It's better, but it's streaky and uneven. It's not a lens, it's just dirt. His spotter, Miller, is watching him with a mixture of pity and concern. "Thorn, what the hell are you doing? You're going to ruin that glass." Thorn ignores him, his mind focused. "It's the wrong mud," he mutters. "The clay is too thick. The particles are too large. He needs silt, the fine alluvial sediment that settles at the bottom of a river. The kind of mud that's more stain than substance." He shows the smeared glass to Miller. "It doesn't shine." Miller scoffs. "You can't see through it either. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You'll be aiming at a blur." Thorn's jaw sets. "I don't need to see his face. I just need to see his shape." Miller shakes his head and turns back to his sector. Thorn knows he's on his own. He will have to test his idea in secret. He cannot apply this concoction directly to his scope. The freezing water could crack the lens, and the grit could destroy the coatings and seals. He needs a housing. He needs an adapter that can hold a sacrificial piece of glass in front of his scope. This requires an engineer, or at least a mechanic. He finds his ally in the unlikeliest of places, the 101st's motor pool, a frozen hell of disabled jeeps and trucks huddled near the Bastogne church. Technician 4th grade Grease Kowalski is trying to coax a frozen Dodge truck back to life with a blowtorch. He is a large man, his face permanently stained with oil, his temper short. Thorn approaches him quietly. "T4 Kowalski, I need a piece of tubing. Grease doesn't even look up from the engine block. Yeah, and I need a new distributor cap and a case of whiskey. Get in line, Corporal. Thorne is persistent. He lays out his broken binocular, salvaged from a wrecked half-track. He needs to mount one of its objective lenses. I need a casing, just a metal ring, about 2 inches across. That can fit over the end of my scope. He points to his rifle. Grease finally stops, intrigued by the absurdity. You want to put a broken bino lens on a working rifle scope? What for? Hawkeye? Thorne explains the glint problem. He explains his mud theory. Kowalski stares at him for a long moment, then lets out a short, harsh laugh. You want to put mud on a $200 piece of government-issued hardware. I want to put it in front of it in a housing to kill the flash. Grease is a pragmatist. He's seen the bodies come back. He's seen the holes in the trucks. He grunts, "Stupidest damn thing I ever heard," which means it'll probably work. He disappears into a tent and emerges with a heavy brass cylinder. It's a spent 40mm Bofors anti-aircraft casing. He takes a hacksaw and, with surprising precision, cuts a 2-inch-long ring from its base. He spends 10 minutes filing the edges. This ought to fit right over the M73's sunshade. Friction fit. He even helps Thorne secure the salvaged binocular lens inside the brass ring using adhesive tape and shellac. Don't come crying to me when you shoot the wrong guy. Thorne thanks him and disappears. Under the cover of dusk, he crawls 20 yards outside the perimeter to a small frozen creek bed. He breaks the ice with the butt of his K-bar and scoops his hands into the bottom. The mud is black, ice-cold, and perfectly fine. It's alluvial silt, fine as flour. He puts a small amount into a ration tin. Back in his foxhole, by the light of a shielded candle, he begins his experiment. He mixes the silt with snowmelt. He tries a thick paste. Too dark. He dilutes it. He needs a suspension, not a solution. He adds just a teaspoon of silt to half a cup of water, creating a thin, dirty brown liquid. He dips the lens, now secured in its brass housing. He lets the water coat it evenly and then sets it on the foxhole's parapet. The sub-zero air does the rest. In 5 minutes, the liquid is frozen solid. It's not a clear lens. It's not an opaque disc. It is a perfect translucent frosted pane of mud ice. It has the dull, flat, non-reflective texture of the forest floor itself. The next morning, the air is brittle. The test. Thorne attaches his new device. The heavy, sawn-off Bofors casing slides perfectly over the end of his scope. It looks absurd. A piece of battlefield scrap jury-rigged onto a precision instrument. He settles behind the rifle and puts his eye to the scope. Miller's words echo in his head. You'll be aiming at a blur. He looks. The world is gone. The device is too opaque. The frozen silt is too thick. He has failed. Frustration, cold and sharp, bites at him. He rips the device off, his breath clouding. He cracks the ice film with his thumb, cleans the glass and retreats into his own thoughts. Less. The solution is less. He remixes the slurry in his ration tin. This time, it's almost pure water with just a pinch of the black silt, just enough to stain the water, to give it a faint, brownish tint. He repeats the process, painting the water onto the glass with his finger and letting it freeze. A new film forms, this one much thinner, more translucent. He reattaches the Thorne shield, as Miller is now sarcastically calling it. He looks again. His heart leaps. The world is back. It is dim. It is murky. The vibrant whites and blacks are reduced to a low contrast wash of greys and browns. It's like looking through a dirty window on a foggy day. But he can see. He can see the dark trunks of the trees. He can see the outline of the opposing ridge. He can see shapes. And that's all he needs. "Contact!" Miller hisses. 200 yards, left flank. A German ski patrol. Looks like 3. No, 4 of them. They are moving quickly, using the sparse cover. The sun is at Thorn's 10 o'clock, a perfect angle for glint. Thorn swings the 03A4. He finds them. They are just dark blurs against the snow, but they are moving blurs. He tracks the lead scout. The crosshairs of his scope, though dimmed, are still visible against the shape. He places the vertical line on the center of the mass. He breathes, he squeezes. The rifle barks, the sound shockingly loud in the stillness. 300 yards away, the lead scout pitches forward into the snow and doesn't move. The other 3 Germans instantly dive for cover, scanning the trees, looking for the flash. They see nothing. Thorn's position is silent, flat, dull. His lens, covered in its frozen muddy film, looks like just another patch of frozen earth. It has vanished. He's already tracking the second man, who peeks his head from behind a pine. Thorn fires again. A second German slumps. The remaining 2 panic. They stand and run, breaking for the deep woods. Thorn doesn't hurry. He tracks the third man, leads him by a foot and fires. The man falls. The fourth vanishes into the forest. Silence returns. Miller is staring through his binoculars, his mouth open. He slowly turns to Thorn, looking at the absurd brass and mud contraption. "I'll be damned," he whispers. "I'll be damned." Thorn just nods, his eye already scanning for new targets. If stories like this fascinate you, stay with us. The next chapter of wartime innovation might surprise you. Word of the ghost sniper who fires without a flash travels faster than the official report. The platoon's commanding officer, a first lieutenant named Harris, is a pragmatic, no-nonsense leader whose primary concern is casualty rates. He has lost 3 snipers to counter-sniper fire in the last week. He calls Thorn to his command post, a sandbagged cellar in a shattered Bastogne farmhouse. The air is thick with smoke from a sputtering stove and the smell of unwashed men. Harris is sitting on an ammunition crate, a map spread on his knees. "Corporal," he begins, not unkindly, "I have a report from PFC Miller. It says you engaged and neutralized 3 enemy scouts at 300 yards. In direct light, and that you've modified your weapon." There is a moment of heavy tension. Unauthorized modification of a service weapon is a court-martial offense. Thorn stands at attention, his face calm. "Sir, I created a non-reflective filter." "A filter," Harris repeats, his eyebrow raised. "Miller's report says it's made of mud." Thorn, anticipating this, removes the device from his pack. He hands it to the lieutenant. Harris takes it, his expression a mix of curiosity and disgust. He holds the heavy brass ring up to the lantern light. "It's a piece of trash, Thorn, and it's frozen solid." He tries to look through it. "I can't see a damn thing." "You'll have to be in the light, sir," Thorn explains, his voice quiet but steady. "It dims the view. It cuts down the light, but it kills the glint. They can't see the flash. They can't shoot back. Sir, I saw the German scout spot my glint yesterday. It almost got me and Miller killed. This fixes the problem." Harris is skeptical. He's an officer from the old army, a man who believes in training and clean weapons. The Ordnance Department spends millions developing these optics, and you think you can improve it with creek bed mud and a piece of scrap metal? "Sir," Thorne says, his formality unwavering. "The Ordnance Department isn't here. They're not watching men die because the sun is at the wrong angle. I'm not trying to improve the optic. I'm trying to improve the camouflage. The rifle works, the scope works. This just makes it invisible." The lieutenant is silent for a full minute. He looks at the device, then at Thorne's steady gaze. He sees no arrogance, only a trapper's logic. He's a man with a serious problem. His perimeter is being probed daily. He needs his snipers. "This is irregular, Corporal, highly irregular." He tosses the device back to Thorne. "I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. But I'm moving you. 500 tomorrow, you're covering the crossroads at Foy. Reports say a major German reconnaissance unit is massing to probe that sector. If your device fails, you and your team will be the first to die. Dismissed." The real test comes before dawn. It is December 23rd. The fog is thick, clinging to the snow. This is the moment from the title. A German Stosstrupp unit, an elite reconnaissance and assault platoon from the 2nd Panzer Division, is advancing toward the American lines near the village of Foy. Field intelligence reports their strength at 20 to 25 men. Their mission is to infiltrate, identify the seams in the 101st's defense, and pinpoint the American machine gun nests for a full-scale armor and infantry assault. If this unit succeeds, the line will break. Thorne and 2 other snipers he has hastily trained, their own scopes now fitted with Thorne shields, are dug into the frozen high ground, a sparsely wooded ridge overlooking a wide, snow-covered field the Germans must cross. It is 6:30. The fog begins to thin, revealing the field. The light is grey, flat and perfect for the mud lens. The world through Thorne's scope is a monochromatic canvas of shadows. The German scouts appear, materializing from the fog like phantoms. They are professionals, moving in staggered file, in white parkas, their Mausers and MP40s held ready. They are 21 men. They move with confidence, scanning the ridge opposite. They are looking for the telltale glint of an American helmet, a radio antenna, or a scope. They see nothing. The ridge is just a line of dark, silent trees. Thorne's team has their targets assigned. They are 400 yards out. Thorne takes the lead NCO, the man with the map case. He waits. He lets them advance another 50 yards into the killing zone. "Fire," he whispers into his field phone. 3 M1903A4 rifles bark, the sound flat and absorbed by the snow. The NCO, the radio man, and a scout with binoculars collapse. The German platoon instantly drops into the snow, firing bursts from their MP40s at the ridge. But they are firing blind. They are spraying the entire forest with no idea where the shots originated. There was no flash, no glint, just 3 men gone. The remaining Germans are pinned. To move is to die. A new officer attempts to rally them. Thorne tracks him, fires. The officer falls. Another German tries to retrieve the radio. Miller spots him. "Target, 2 o'clock. Thorne acquires, fires. The man drops over the radio man's body. Panic begins to set in. The German Stoßtruppen, elite and battle-hardened, are being systematically dismantled by an enemy they cannot see. They are trapped in a white field. From the ridge, the 3 ghost snipers work with methodical cold precision. A German machine gunner tries to set up his MG42. A rifle cracks. He's dead. His assistant dives. Over the next 30 minutes, the German unit ceases to exist. One by one, the hidden lenses allow the American snipers to pick their targets without fear of reprisal. The psychological effect is devastating. The Germans are being hunted. The few survivors, perhaps 4 or 5, break and crawl back through the snow, dragging their wounded, leaving a trail of 17 bodies on the field. The 21-man probe is annihilated. The armored assault on that sector is delayed by 24 hours. A critical gap in the Bastogne perimeter has been held, not by a company of riflemen or a battery of artillery, but by 3 men and their scraps of brass and frozen mud. When Thorne's team reports back, Lieutenant Harris simply listens to the field report, looks at the field glasses trained on the empty, body-strewn field, and nods. "Good work, Corporal. Clean your weapon." The Thorne shield was never patented. It never received an official designation from the Bureau of Ordnance. It was a trick of the trade, a battlefield innovation born of necessity and passed from one cold, tired soldier to another. For the remainder of the Battle of the Bulge, the snipers of the 506th PIR adopted crude versions of the device. T4 Kowalski was unofficially requisitioned to cut up several more 40mm casings. The effect was immediate. After-action reports for January 1945 note a significant tactical shift. Enemy counter-sniper fire in this sector has become notably less accurate. Our sniper teams are now able to operate with greater freedom of movement, even in disadvantageous lighting conditions. The reports credit superior fieldcraft, a vague term that perfectly hides Thorne's secret. The legacy of the mud lens is not in a museum artifact, but in the evolution of doctrine. The idea that a sniper's greatest vulnerability is his own lens became a central tenet of modern sniper training. The crude Thorne shield was the direct spiritual ancestor of the modern anti-reflection device, ARD, also known as the kill flash. These modern devices, often a honeycomb lattice of small tubes, use the exact same principle. They break up the flat, reflective surface of the lens and obscure it from oblique angles, allowing the sniper to see out without letting light flash back. They are standard issue for every military sniper in the world. And what of Elias Thorne? He was awarded the Silver Star for his extraordinary heroism and gallantry in action during the engagement at Foy, citing his precision fire in the face of a superior enemy force. The citation makes no mention of his invention. After the 101st was relieved at Bastogne, he fought through the rest of the war, ending his service in Berchtesgaden. He was honorably discharged in October 1945. He returned to the Umatilla National Forest in Oregon. He did not speak of his actions. He did not apply for a patent. He simply went back to his life as a forester, his quirk of understanding light and shadow once again applied to the stalking of elk. He faded back into the landscape he understood so well, a humble man, forgotten by the massive history he had helped to shape. Today, the technology to defeat glint is a multi-million-dollar industry. Engineers use advanced coatings and precision-milled aluminum to create the honeycomb filters that protect modern soldiers. Wildlife photographers use them to capture images of timid animals without a flash of light scaring them away. Yet all of this complex technology is merely a refinement of a brilliant idea conceived in a frozen foxhole. It is the legacy of one man who refused to accept an impossible problem. Elias Thorne's genius was not in engineering, it was in ecology. He didn't try to defeat his environment with new technology. He used his environment as technology. He took the cold, the dark, and the silt, and he used them to tame the light. This is the universal truth of innovation. The most profound breakthroughs often come not from adding complexity, but from a fundamental change in perspective. They come from the edges, from the people facing the problem most directly, who are forced to see the world not as it should be, but as it is. They use the materials at hand, the scrap metal, the mud, the ice, to defy the experts who said it couldn't be done. The forest near Foy is quiet now, the foxholes long since filled by time and fallen leaves. But the trees that watched a young corporal mix mud in a ration tin still stand, silent witnesses to the moment one man taught a beam of light how to hide. Every great idea begins as an act of defiance against impossibility. What impossible ideas do you think could change the world?